Hello, welcome back to the channel. As you can tell, I have two trees here, and there's actually, I don't know if it's in frame, but there's another tree back there. And today I'm going to be planting up more plants into the orchard, more trees I should say. What I have next to me here are two peach trees. One is Red Haven peach, and the other one is Belle of Georgia peach. If you've planted any of these or either of these, please let me know in the comments below and what your what you think of the fruit that comes off of them. I've never planted a peach tree before. I came out here early this morning to dig the holes. It's now later in the afternoon and the sun's really hot. But I had to run some errands and purchase these trees. The fig tree I had previously picked up at another nursery, or at a nursery. I think it's the same nursery I got these from. Either way, it's a brown turkey fig tree, brown turkey. And I'm going to plant these into the ground today. And, well, let me stop talking and start planting and show what I'm doing. We're going to start with the hole that I dug for the fig tree. And what I did was, as you can see, the soil's pretty gray because, again, it's a heavy clay, silt-like soil. And what I put in the bottom here is a soil conditioner. It's essentially just a lot of wood chips, it looks like. But I'm going to sort of try to mix that in with the native soil. And believe it or not, I've mentioned this before, so if you haven't seen my previous videos, you can go back and watch all of those. There's earthworms in this soil, believe it or not. And you can see, let me just grab a piece right here. Oh, you can see how that soil is just heavy. It's almost like a cement when it gets dry. But it's full of minerals, which is good. It's good for the plants. It just needs organic matter, which is essentially what this soil conditioner is. Again, it's mostly made up of wood chips, it looks like. So that will mix. And there's some old roots in here from something. I'll leave them in there. They'll all rot. They'll add to the nutrition of the soil. Next, I'm going to put down a little biotone. Not every gardener does this. But again, the soil's pretty poopy, so I'm just going to throw some biotone. No, I'm not measuring. Maybe I should. For the fig tree, I'm going to put in some planting mix. The local blend. I don't know if you could see that. It's nice. It's almost like compost, actually, which is really good. I'm going to put some in the bottom of the hole. I'm going to mix that in as well. Now, again, I'm no expert, so if you're watching this for advice, you may want to check with a local expert or watch another gardening channel. This is just how I'm doing it. And next I'm going to plant the fig tree. Now you may notice the hole is not that deep. The fig tree will actually sit a little high, and that's kind of the way I want it because this ground, again, because it's so compacted, when it rains, it takes a long time for that water to soak into the ground. Over time, it will get better because I am working on trying to improve the ground. But for now, the plant will go a little high. I'll mulch around it. Life will be good. And again, over time, the ground around it will become less compacted as I add organic material to it, as the earthworms move it in and out, as the other critters move the compost around, and the soil gets more aerated. And eventually the plant can put its roots out and the rain will drain faster. But so the plant doesn't sit entirely in water. That's also why I have that soil conditioner to help allow drainage. I'm going to put some water down in the bottom of the hole here. I would take the rose off of the end of the water can, except I can't. It's kind of corroded on there for now. Oh, that's lovely. It's not really root bound, which is good. All right, I kind of like that Start to backfill. We're not supposed to get rain for the next day or two, so I'm just going to make sure I give this good thorough watering. And I may, if it doesn't rain in the next 2 days, I may come out and give it another good soak to make sure the soil's firmed around it. I don't want to press it down too much. I just also don't want to make sure that I'm leaving any air pockets. If you watched other gardening channels, you've seen all this before. There you go, fig tree planted. First fig tree I've ever planted. So I still have to come back, do the mulch. I won't bore you guys with that. And the other thing I'm going to do, which again I won't bore you with, is I'm going to take some stakes and I'm going to put them probably about that far out from the fig tree. And it's not to balance the fig tree. This guy has pretty thick branches, so I don't think I'll have to stake him at all. But what I am going to do is I'm going to build a little circular sort of fence around him. And I'll just put a couple of lines of twine, and again about that far out from the tree, so figure 3 feet or so, and that's to simply keep the deer away from the fig tree, because apparently from my quick Google searching, deer do like to eat, I believe, not only the fig fruit but also the leaves, and I do have deer around here, so yeah, I want to make sure I do that tonight so that the deer don't come by and wipe this thing out for me in the morning, and that would be very sad. So, but again, I won't bore you with that. I'm just simply going to put in like 4 to 6 stakes out so far, and then a couple of lines of twine, and that's just enough just to keep them away from the plant. We're in summertime now already, and there's plenty to eat all around for the deer. There's clover, there's all sorts of weeds and plants that they eat. They try to sneak into the rose garden occasionally and try to eat some of the roses. So there are things here for them to eat besides this fig. So let's go plant up the peach trees. It's essentially going to be the same process, and then we'll wrap this video up. Well, there you go. The second, both peach trees are planted. As you can see, I staked both of them. One of them, they're both pretty young and they seem to be growing very fast, but they weren't root bound, which was very nice. What I did was I took 2 6-foot long pieces of rebar and I pounded them into the ground. And the reason I use rebar is because, again, the dampness, the humidity down here in eastern North Carolina, and the compaction of the ground. If I used wood, I wouldn't be able to drive it down as deep and the wood would rot out pretty quickly. I used bamboo, I believe, on the pear trees last year, and I think I took them out this spring and both of them were snapping at the base. They had become so rotted, and they were pretty thick bamboo. So again, it's, you know, the soil condition, the ground and all, I made the determination to go with rebar. I can use these forever theoretically, and they'll hold up pretty well to pretty much anything. Yes, they will rust, but that's okay because that'll make it look more natural. And, you know, any metal or iron deposits there will get into the soil, and plants love that kind of mineral-y thing. So that's really about it for the 3 trees. Again, I got a fig, 2 peach trees. I'm going to fence at least the fig tree. I don't know about the peach trees yet. I have to read up on that. But if you think I should be fencing off the peach trees as well, please leave a comment below. I'm always open to advice, suggestions. I know very little, and yet I'm diving into the deep end. So if any of you have a question, which some of you may, about this, Because I'm so far away from the house, I don't have water supply out here. So last year I turned around and I purchased this 35-gallon tank, which I just simply strapped onto the back of my Gorilla cart here. And I have I actually had a double faucet here that I had a water splitter that I had used when I lived in New York. They last pretty much forever because they're made out of brass, it's DRAM. So I just used it as a simple on-off spigot. I didn't even fill the whole thing up today, but I'm going to keep probably this on here for the near future because I will, like I said, be needing to water these on a more regular basis and to walk the watering cans back and forth. It can be a bit much. So what I simply do is just stick the water can underneath, fill it up, water what I need to water. I don't have to walk 200 feet back to the house. I also have the 2 apple trees out here. So now I have 5 fruit trees out here in the orchard. And that was always the plan, is to have sort of a mix of different varieties and different plants. The 2 apple trees, I believe, will get to about 25 foot. They are towards the back over here, and the sun goes this way. So these 2 peach trees, which only get to about 15 foot, should be happy. The fig tree, I believe, gets to a total height of 15 feet as well. So that one as well should be happy where it's located. And who knows, I mean, I still have a lot of space in between. I may wind up putting some other stuff in. And if I'm still around and kicking in 15 to 20 years, I may be creating a whole nother bed garden area right here in the orchard when these guys have nicer canopies and the area is more shaded. But you'll have to subscribe and click that bell icon to be notified of when that, so you're notified of when that does happen in 20 years if I'm still around kicking. Whew. Wow, 20 years. I'll be 70. God. That's, if I'm still gardening at 70, maybe I'll have some help. Maybe I'll have some help there. We'll see. So that's about it. If you do me a favor, check out the links below in the description and click on any of those links and blah, 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 blah. You've all heard it a billion times before. It's hot. I'm tired. I have to mulch and build some fences. I'm going to catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.